All right. Hi, everyone. It's Emily Hill. For those of you that don't know me, I am a third year game development student at Purdue University. Sorry if I questioned that. I've been saying game design recently because that's what I want to go into, but the actual major that I am in is called game development and design. Um, but talking about game design, I'm going to be showing off a level I worked on for about 2 months as a solo project for my level design class. It's an immersive sim, which is also known as like a walking simulator, which gave us a lot of freedom to do whatever we wanted with the concept. So I made a stealth based game where the goal is to trade like snacks and food that isn't allowed in middle school. You're a middle school student just trying to make trades with your friends, eating cookies in class, breaking the rules, that type of thing. But the teachers are on to you, so they are out looking for you. That's what all the little collision boxes are. That's where they'll find you. So stay away from those if you play this. This will have a playable I will have a playable file up on my portfolio for you guys to check out of this version that I'm showing right here. I would like to polish it up a little more in the next week or so and put another file up for you guys. And then in the future, I'd like to revisit this maybe in a couple months or so, maybe come back to it with a team of people that would like to work on this concept. So if you really like it, then please stay tuned because I hope this is not the last we see of this project. And definitely not the last we'll see of it this month. I will be coming back to this shortly after my class ends. As soon as my finals let out, I would like to just sit back and relax and start making some changes to the design again. But in case some of you guys haven't been following my updates on this level, I will be showing off. I have a little game journal on my portfolio for this level. It's titled Middle School Mindset right now. That's subject to change, but it's the middle school game I'm working on. So, this is the paper design for the game. This is where I came up with the concept and I wrote about the mechanics and how the level would play out scripting wise. And I also made a top-down view of the entire map and marked what type of important stuff would be going on in Illustrator. So the original idea for this was very big. We needed to plan out one level, and I kind of planned out an entire level and an entire game almost for the paper design. It's very focused on the level, but I have some pretty big mechanics that would take a team of people working on it to implement. So later on in this, you'll see the effects of having to scope down and what those changes look like in the pipeline. So, like I said, you play as a middle schooler, and in this version, the early version, you're just trading banned items such as bobby pins, gum. What else did I have on here? I think I had body spray was a big item on here. And you're just making trades like that throughout the game, and there is a student you want to make a trade with, but they are in a classroom on the other side of the school, and you're on lunch detention on this side. So you have to sneak out, and you have to sneak through the lunchroom. You have to collect a couple things on your way there and figure out that you need to call the student out of the classroom. So there's already like 3 or 4 things you need to do in order to reach the checkpoint. I was then going to have it so that you got a hall pass, and the level kind of forced you to advance a different way. You'd have to go through the gym now, and you would not be able to return back through the lunchroom as there would be too many teachers guarding that path. So I had a pretty fleshed out level, and I was very proud of it, and I was very excited to work on it. So enter the white box stage, which also went well. I had a lot of fun with it. I ended up I was successfully able to make the entire map with a couple of tweaks to it. For example, in the paper design, you can see how wide the gym is. I made the gym shorter. It actually only comes up to this wall, and then the locker room is a little longer. That way it just lines up better with everything. And then for the lunchroom, I moved the lunch line into the actual lunchroom. And these changes were made mostly so there wouldn't be too much dead space. Instead of just trying to think of stuff to fill in, I just wanted to utilize the space as best I could. And then the scripting pass happened, and for those of you that know me, I'm very passionate about the artistic parts of design, and I really like doing white boxes, and I like concepts, and I am able to implement them, and I am able to carry on through with the rest of the design process. But scripting has to be the hardest for me personally. It's something I'm going to work on throughout the next semester for sure. But because of this, I came to the realization I wasn't going to be able to script basically an entire game's worth of mechanics in 2 weeks, given my experience level. So I had to get creative about what type of stuff I scoped down. The first thing I did was cut the level in half, so instead of having to sneak back into the detention room, the level now ends whenever you are able to successfully make the trade. And in-game, that looks like when you call the student out of class. So if you reach the telephone with all of the necessary items, that is what ends the game, because that's completing your goal. So that was the first thing we did, was I just cut it in half. And the feedback I got on it was that was the right call to make. A lot of people thought I was crazy for trying to make such a big level, including myself. And then the mechanics that remained in the game are the unlocking of doors, which sounds pretty simple, but I ended up needing different keys and lock combinations, and not always for keys and locks. This is the system I basically used, but it looks a little bigger. The actual door and key is about half of this, and then there's another half of just different items that act like a door and key. For example, you need a newspaper clipping in order to use the telephone successfully, so that acts kind of like a door and a key as well. And then I realized I didn't want to mess around with AI, so this is where I started to place the teachers more hidden away, so that instead of the teachers coming around the corner looking for you, your player has to look around the corner and see if there's any teachers hiding out there. So a bit of a design change started with where the teachers were hanging out. And then there's dialogue with student characters. I was able to get that working. No choices being made yet. I have worked on projects where there are choice-based mechanics, and it's something I want to put into this project in the future. But for now, it's just the students spouting off information about the world and just being goofy. So that's what kind of remained from the scripting. I had to kind of reinvent the game a little bit to fit into my schedule and my capabilities. And then Art Pass 1 came around, and I would love to redo one of these art passes and make all the assets myself. I do work in Maya a little bit, and I've always wanted to take the time to make my own asset pack, but again, I didn't have time to make an entire asset pack for this project. So the assets you see here are from Olbert's Low Poly School and Food Pack 1, and these are both available on the Unreal Marketplace if you're interested. So the plus of this is I got to practice some kit bashing, which is where, for anyone that doesn't know, it's where you take a kit or an asset pack and it has all of the items you need, and you just kind of use them and you fill them in and you replace the white box items with stuff. So This was more of a structural pass in which I focused on the floors and the walls and any big items. So you can see the classroom there started to come together. And then you see all the rows of lockers and your locker being open. And that was the last update I had to this page. And again, if you're watching this on my portfolio, then you're likely on this website already. If you're watching it off social media, then hill331.weebly.com. My professors hate that I still have a .weebly, but that's what the link is if you want to check out everything else on my portfolio. I've got some really fun animation projects and a visual novel on here, so check it out. And we're back, and I'm going to do a quick playthrough of my final version. This counted as my Art Pass 2, which is more detail orientated, as well as my final submission. We were technically given time to make a final submission outside of the Art Pass 2, but it just worked best for me to get them kind of done in the same round of polishing. So for me, this is my final submission as well as my final Art Pass for now, for the class. I'd love to do another round of polishing on it sometime this month, December, maybe as a Christmas present. So changes that you can see already are the gym wasn't fully decorated in the last Art Pass. Now it is. You have these mats up. And also one thing is with the design change of having the teachers now hidden instead of patrolling for you, I had to kind of rework the gym. It was going to be a mini game of dodgeball, but now it's been reworked so that it's set up like a maze with the gym mats, and the teachers are kind of hidden at dead ends, so you'll have to navigate it carefully. Other big changes, I'm aware my lighting is a little rough. I'm not gonna even lie about that. I'm not the greatest lighting in Unreal, even though I've gotten loads better with different renderers in Maya. But Unreal, it's looking a little rough. But one big improvement that I think I made was in the last Art Pass, it was all really bright and then really dark. The radius on the lights are bigger here, and I made the color warmer and darker, so it just fills the room a little bit better. And then let's look at the actual characters. So this is the main character and her idle animation. I just gave her an idle animation and a running animation. She doesn't jump. Because you don't need to jump in this game. And then if you also look, this is where most of the stuff for the game is located. There's that door and key system I mentioned earlier, as well as different stuff for UI, different buttons to push, all that good stuff. Most of it's located in the character blueprint. I have a little journal here that was something that was not included in any of the previous revisions, but I decided to include it in this one because my professor suggested, hey, sometimes the dialogue, you don't remember what people say to you, so how are we going to know what the goal is? So if you hit 1 now while playing the game, it will have a little drop-down menu that shows you what your mission is and give you some hints about stuff you could do. And then this, I forgot I called it player gets the dead, but that's what happens when you get killed. You don't die, but you get sent back to lunch detention. You respawn in the room, so it's about as bad as it can get for a middle schooler. And then here's the model we use for the teachers. Again, there's only one student model, Or maybe not again. Maybe I didn't mention this in this take. But there's only one model for the student, and then there's one model for the teachers. In the future, I'd like to have like a wide variety, and these models and animations are not mine. They are from Mixamo, I believe is what it's called. And they have a bunch of different animations and characters that you can use all rigged up and ready to go for free as long as you have an Adobe account. So that's where I got them from. As well as the player character. And then there's just lots of little details, like lots of food. Oh yeah, the food is now a big part. So like I mentioned earlier, it was originally supposed to be a bunch of just random items for stuff. And now like there's a cookie in the locker you have to pick up in order to progress. There's books and boxes in here because it's the detention room. I think my favorite room is the science room, actually. Just because there were a lot of science items in the pack, so I was able to flesh out the science room a little more than the others. I even put a little eye washing sink over there, which was fun and cute to do. But I think I'll play through this now that we've got everything figured out. If I remember anything, I'll bring it up. Oh, and also there will be sound effects, so if you've just been listening to my voice, don't be surprised when you hear the sound suddenly come on. Here we go. So there's our character. Here we are in lunch detention. The teacher has left the room, so we're free to do whatever we want. You're not supposed to, but we are. And then, like I said, if you hit 1 at any time, you'll get a little drop-down menu. You hit 1 again and it will go away. And now whenever you pass through, I have little collision boxes for dialogue set up to kind of trigger all these conversations. There's one around most of the students, so you can interact with them. They all have something interesting to say. Teacher forgot their keys, and then that girl's just threatening someone over Cheetos. So if we pick up the keys over here, you get a little bell effect, sound effect that lets you know you've completed something important. And then when you hit E, the door opens. That will not open unless you have the keys. And then you pick up the cookies. And now at this point, you can choose to go one of 2 ways. There's the cafeteria path to the right, and then there's the gym path to the left. We're going to take the gym path first and then loop back around to show off the cafeteria. And then originally in previous versions of the game, I had it planned that you would still be able to use items against teachers, kind of like a type of miniature combat almost. But because that ended up being cut for time and I replaced all the items with like different foods, I have pizzas in place of what I had for body spray earlier, which sounds weird, but now because your character's skipping their lunch to make this trade. So you can pick up pizzas as you see them, and that's just kind of a little side quest included in the game. Might as well snack on all the confiscated pizzas that students order to the school. Now we're in the locker room. And now we're in the gym. So you can even see in between the things. You can see teachers. Just don't get in their direct line of sight. And we're through. I will show what happens when a teacher... Maybe I'll show it now, actually. What happens when a teacher catches you. So when you get caught, a little sound effect plays, lets you know, that's not good, and you start back here at the beginning. Pick up everything you need again, and this is the cafeteria route. And teachers are hidden behind pillars mostly over here, so you'll want to swerve around them. And then this is the classroom that our intended traitor is in. You can even see them through the window there. But they're stuck in class, and they can't leave without a good excuse, so we need to call them out of class. This leads to us checking other doorways. Now we see a phone that we could use. Right now, as we interact with it, I'm pressing E to interact with items, and it's just not working. And the reason for this is because we can't just call and ask. We're not that good of an actress. We need some information to back up our claim. So if we go to the teacher's lounge, we can pick up some more pizzas if we so desire. And then we see a newspaper on the counter. This lets us know that Tori, the girl we're trying to trade with, is up for an academic award, so we can directly call and say, hey, we have the results. And now that we have that, when we go up to the phone again, press E, and we've completed the level, so it ends it right there. It would be nice to put in, like, a little completion screen, maybe. I don't have a title screen yet either, though, and those typically go hand in hand in my mind. I typically make those around the same time. So whenever we get one, we'll have the other. And that is my design. There's still obviously polishing that could be done for this, and there's still more scripting I want to implement, still more details I want to make my own. And that's fine with me. It's fine that it's not perfect because there's always stuff you can improve, and I've already changed it so much from the paper design down here. So if you guys are interested in that, please be sure to keep up with me. I will continue to update this journal and my social medias to my professor that sat through most of this video just waiting for me to get to the actual part of my final. Sorry. And I hope you're doing well. To anyone else watching this, thank you. And if you have any questions or anything you want to say about it, please feel free to contact me. And I'll see you guys on the next update video. Bye!